Hey everyone, it's Dr. Karin. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to stop being a people pleaser. Now, people pleasing is something that most of us were generally taught to do, right? Do for others before you do for yourself. The problem is, most people can't be pleased and you end up being depleted. In this video, I'm going to give you some tips and tools about some things I've learned along my journey that are going to really help you to figure out how to take your power back and to stop being a chronic people pleaser. Let's dive in. So being a people pleaser, if you're here, you likely identify as one. And I think most people that do tend to be extremely kind-hearted. There's this loving side to people pleasing that means you're probably empathic. You probably just want what's best for others. You want what's best for the world. The problem in it is that you end up sacrificing yourself. You end up putting everyone else's needs, wants, and desires before your own. And what happens then is you walk through the world exhausted. You're constantly depleted because what you're doing with your reserves, this cup of your reserves, is you're constantly pouring it into other people's cups. Instead of taking it and using it for things that really serve you, you're giving and giving and giving to people. And the point is, a lot of people just can't be pleased. And the other part of it is that you end up then feeling super resentful about the people that aren't maybe giving you the gratitude back that you deserve or giving you the reciprocity that you really deeply desire. And if you are like me, you weren't ever really taught how to stand up for yourself and how to ask for it. Most of us, especially women, were taught by watching our moms or our grandmothers or our caregivers do the same thing. You know, the generations before us, I think that women tended to really overgive. We tended to take care of everybody. We tended to just be in this caretaker mode 24/7. And now that things have evolved, and we're definitely different in the fact that how we've all evolved as genders, and this is not just for women. I know a lot of men who are depleted as caretakers and people pleasers too. But what I want to remind you is that when you're constantly living in this, what you're really doing is you're searching for some kind of satisfaction, some kind of validation that you're worthwhile, because that's what you were taught when you were younger. You were taught to get love. You have to give of yourself constantly. You don't listen to your own needs. Don't listen to your own heart. Do what I want you to do. Be this, do that. Be a good girl, be a good boy. And by being a good boy or a good girl, you're taught that what's giving you validation and giving you love is being approved of by others because you're doing for them. You're giving for them. You're agreeing to everything that they want. And let me give you a piece of advice. The fact is, people are going to push that as long as you'll let them. If people are getting their needs met and getting their decisions being the ones that are agreed to all the time, they're going to keep doing it. It's no skin off their back. So the only person that's going to change this pattern, if it's getting in the way of your happiness, which my guess is, if you're here, it is you. You're the only person that is going to face the probably most liberating, albeit somewhat challenging, decision of your life, and that is that you're going to stop being a chronic people pleaser, because the person that is not pleased is you. And you, my friend, deserve more self-love in your life. You deserve to be the one that's being pleased and honored and loved. And it doesn't mean that you turn into some narcissistic, self-gratifying, horrible person. No, there's a continuum here. And what you want to find is that harmonized place in the middle, where not only are you doing what feels good to you, and that is probably it feels good to you to help people, you get a sense of gratification, you get a sense of fulfillment and purpose in your life to do for others. It's filling up your love bucket. But the point where it's detrimental to your well-being is when you're actually martyring or giving up your own happiness, your own sense of vibrancy in life to satisfy other people. And when it's in a really negative situation, what's happening is you're spinning your wheels to please people, and you're so used to it and they're so used to it that you're never ever being asked what you desire. Your opinion really doesn't matter anymore. You're not even being asked to contribute. You're just giving and giving and giving. And then what happens is you're developing what I call poison in your body. And it's something I mentioned a minute ago, and that's resentment. So resentment in any relationship turns into poison for the person that's holding it. The person that's getting their needs met is not holding that resentment. Believe me, they're living their best life. You, on the other hand, and probably if you're like a chronic people pleaser, you haven't learned how to speak up for yourself. You haven't learned how to set boundaries. You specifically haven't learned how to say, what word is it? No. So what that's doing for you is it's building resentment. Like you still have a human being, spiritual being, emotional being, real person inside of you that wants to be loved, that wants to be adored, that wants to be cherished, that wants things done for you as well. It's down in there. You've just been taught or you've learned through either covert or overt messages, either they've been outright or you've just learned because of people's energy, that if you speak up too much or ask for what you want, you are not worthwhile. You need to be quiet. You're too much. You're asking too much. You're needy. Whatever the messages are. And let me just point something out as we're continuing. The main people that have taught you this or that have substantiated this in your life are likely people, if it is a situation that's bordering on toxic or is toxic, are not good for you. And perhaps as you're going out of this pattern that you had of being a people pleaser, you might want to really think about which people really belong in your life. Because if this pattern is so set in stone that this other person is not malleable enough, flexible enough to then evolve with you and realize you've been giving yourself and that you've been getting nothing in return, then that might not be the kind of person that's going to match your new vibration, your new aura, your new way of being in the world. And you might want to consider either that relationship changing or maybe it doesn't belong in your life after all because it's keeping you held in this place that is very, very poisonous for your system. Because what happens when you have resentment all the time in your life and it's chronic and you're constantly muffling yourself, stuffing your voice down. First of all, let's talk chakras for a second. So you have 7 energy chakras. And right now, I just want to talk about the throat chakra. The throat chakra is the one that speaks our voice, that speaks our truth, that speaks up, that declares what we desire, that declares it's kind of the courageous part of us. It's your voice, it's your soul's truth. In a healthy person, that chakra is an energy center. The throat chakra is spinning in a very healthy direction when it's healthy, when it's being used, when you're able to speak up, when you're not walking on eggshells all the time, when you've agreed and allowed to be yourself, to be in a relationship that's healthy. This chakra is vibrant, it's open, it's healthy. Let me give a personal example for you that you probably may relate to. If you have, as a people pleaser, been constantly putting yourself last, been stifling your voice, been told not to speak up, been told that you're needy, been told that whatever you say is BS, and you've learned just to stuff it, and you keep swallowing it and swallowing it. What's happening is that resentment turns to cortisol, turns to stress hormones, turns to disease in your body. And the throat chakra energetically will respond to that. So when I was in a relationship for years where I was not allowed to speak up, I was completely always being yelled at, I was just not being heard, so I would just swallow it. I was on eggshells all the time. There were certain topics that were off the table, and there were topics that were really important to me. And in essence, I really wasn't being allowed to be who I was. Specifically, I was never allowed to mention my past. I was never allowed to mention my past relationships. There could never be a reference to them. And, pretty commonly would come up where, I wanted to reference something that I'd been through or a trip, maybe I'd been to Mexico with someone and people were talking about Mexico and I just wanted to interject that I was at this great resort. Well, I knew that was an off-limits topic because this person I was with could not stand me mentioning anything that had happened before him. So I was constantly stifling myself. Well, here's what happened. Louise Hay teaches this in her books about healing your life, because every single disease that you have in your body is a manifestation of something that is emotionally going on. It becomes a physical manifestation. So when the throat chakra gets shut down, your throat chakra runs like kind of down into your lungs, up through your throat and around the back. You will have dis-ease in this area. So I started developing chronic bronchitis. I literally coughed for about 5 years. I had constant bronchitis. I would get pneumonia. And when it got the worst, I would actually get laryngitis. My voice literally stopped working. There were 2 specific times where I got laryngitis for about a week or 2. On the second time, I had a very dear friend that I was working with, and she and I were becoming aware of this knowledge of the energy affecting the body. And she was like, Karin, and she made me very aware of it. And from that day, she was like, I want you to look this up. And I looked it up and I was like, oh my gosh, I had been shutting down my voice because I was so wired, so brainwashed into pleasing this person to keep them happy that I literally never spoke up for myself. I literally never used my voice. I never referenced all these stories that were components of who I was. I wasn't trying to make him jealous. I just wanted to talk about who I was, and I wasn't ever allowed to mention it. So I literally was shutting down a recognition of my life, of who I was. And my body responded by saying, well, we're just going to shut down then. The disease manifested itself. Can I tell you, since I've left that relationship, I have not had bronchitis again. So if we want to be in a place where we feel healthy, we want to keep all of these energy centers open. So we've got energy centers of passion. And according to the chakras, we've got a root chakra, we have a sacral chakra, we have a solar plexus chakra, heart chakra, throat chakra, third eye chakra, and crown chakra. Those are the 7. The throat's the big one that's affected in people pleasing, and so is the heart. Okay, so your heart, when you're people pleasing, you're closing your heart off to healthy relationships that are reciprocal. Because again, you're walking around feeling taken advantage of, you're walking around feeling less than, and what you're doing is you're spinning a wheel, very likely, of constantly wanting validation. And what's happening then, get ready, is you're actually looking outside of yourself constantly for validation. That's the root of people pleasing, is an internal insecurity that you're not loved enough. Does this resonate with you? Probably so. Probably from some childhood wounds. And in this, we're not going to judge you. We're not going to make you feel bad about it. This is full compassion from my heart to yours, because I know I've been there. It still comes up. It rears its ugly head in me all the time as well. But what I know to be true is that for you to find the bridge from feeling this empty feeling of always people pleasing and never feeling satisfaction in your heart, we have to walk the bridge over to where you're starting to put yourself first, starting to acknowledge your value, because at all times, you're teaching the world how to love you. All these energy centers and all this energy is always emitting with a message to the universe about how you want to be treated, how passionate you're going to be in the world, and how much your passions are valued, how much your love is valued, how much your voice and your truth and your knowing are valued. And when we shut these centers down, we're walking into the earth as a muted being. Your energy centers are literally muted, and therefore they cannot transmit energetically into the world to attract back to you that which matches the energy of what you really deeply desire, because what you really want under all of this is to be loved and to be accepted for who you really are. So sister friend, man friend, all my friends out there, I want you to know that the key element is for you to finally learn that for you to be loved for who you are, you have to fully and completely accept who you are, start taking the steps to accept who you are, and present the real you to the world instead of constantly turning your light down and reflecting your value off of others. So I'm about to give you some really specific techniques that you can use, some things you can do today to start practicing this self-love. But before I do, and I get you to the place where you're not a chronic people pleaser, I want to encourage you to like my channel, because that really helps me get this information out to people. And if you want more information on topics like self-love and self-growth, subscribe to my channel so you are made aware when videos come out as soon as they do. Let's get back to talking about people pleasing. Okay, so one of the first things I want you to start practicing, and I know this is going to take practice because you're not used to doing this, is first of all, realizing that the word no is a sentence. No, period. It's a sentence. You can lengthen it a little by saying, I'm sorry, I can't do that. The more you practice saying, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that, and let me give you the guidelines for when you're going to say it, the more you're going to be used to using it, and the more naturally it's going to come. Because right now, if you're going to first start practicing it, what's going to come up is guilt. So the driving force behind people pleasing is always guilt, which, by the way, is one of the lowest states of emotional consciousness. Shame and guilt are what drive people pleasing, and that is the lowest state of consciousness, and we don't want you there anymore. You're a spiritual being here having this beautiful human experience, and you are not meant to reside at a state of shame or guilt, and that driving force needs to be removed from your life. So first of all, give yourself compassion for all you've been through that have led up to this notion that you have to please everybody else. Give yourself compassion and grace for all that you've been doing, all the trying you've been doing, all the worrying and pushing and all of that, and decide right now, like, you know what, I'm going to turn a new leaf. I'm going to create the shift. I'm going to become the CSO, the Chief Soul Officer of my life. And I'm going to start making decisions that are different. And here's the one I'm going to start you with. It is okay to say no to people. It's actually going to be the best thing that you can do moving forward. No, I'm sorry, I can't right now. No, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And the kicker is, what I want you to practice after you learn to say no, after you start practicing to say no, it's going to be a process. Don't go into a long explanation of why you cannot do it. Whether it's teaching something to your kids' Girl Scout group, whether it's volunteering for something, taking on a new project, going to dinner somewhere where you don't want to go. You know what? That doesn't work for me right now. Period. The people pleaser wants to go on with some big explanation why you can't, explaining yourself. And it's funny because once you start practicing it, you're going to catch yourself and you're going to be like, man, I did that a lot, because I know I used to. Just stop yourself after the one sentence. The people around you are going to get thrown off, the ones that are very used to you being a yes person. We all know the yes people. I know the yes people. I know the yes people in my life are never going to say no to me. And I know that no matter what I ask them, they're going to do it. It's kind of how it goes. It would throw me off one day if they said, no, I can't do that. But you know what? I'd start having more respect for them. I'd start learning how to treat them with respect that they actually really deserve, instead of being like, wow, like doormats aren't sexy. Let me just drop that truth bomb on you right now. Being a doormat is not sexy. We think that it brings us more love into our life, but it makes you look disempowered. It makes you look way too soft and without enough confidence. And you know, God bless you for doing it for as long as you have, but we want you to attract a higher level of life as you're going away from being directed by other people's desires and needs. When you bring this version of you that is able to say no to people, is able to stop explaining and apologizing for your opinion, you're going to bring forward such a powerful version of yourself. First of all, people are going to get thrown off. They're probably not going to like it, which is a sign you're doing the right thing. And they're gonna have to adjust just like you are to this new you. And it's my guarantee to you that while it will be a process of them getting used to it, they will have more respect for you, and the boundaries will be in place that will then bring you to a happier life. And I want you to start with that, learning how to say no and not following it up with an apology and not following it up with a big excuse. And the barometer that I want you to use around the no and the yes, once you get kind of used to it, is the next level is, I'm only going to say yes to the things in my life that are a hell yes. How about that? If you're evolving and you want to evolve to the next level, this is next level. It's a no unless it's a hell yes. Now, again, that's something in your mind that you can feel. Hell yes feels like expansion. If you want to step into that higher version of yourself, the one that's pleasing yourself, yes, taking care of things that feel good to you, but you really want to step into a level of confidence in your life because you want to stop being looked at as someone that people can take advantage of. That doesn't feel good to you. It puts you at a very low level of consciousness, which is attracting things that match it. So we want to bring you up to that confident level of self-love, to where you're only saying yes to things that are a hell yes in your life. And then what happens, taking it a step further, be so excited about the things that are a hell yes, the things that are serving your life, that then will serve to serve others. Because the more you're agreeing to what's a hell yes in your life and everything else is a no, the more you are consciously, intentionally creating a life that you love, which then brings this vibration around you, because you have an energy field around you that says, I'm valuable. I'm worthy of reciprocal love. I'm worthy of being cherished. I'm worthy of all these delicious, luxurious things in life that I've been not receiving because I've been over here in sacrificing martyrdom mode, and I'm done with that. That is so low vibe. That's not for me anymore. I'm growing, I'm evolving. And for me, a yes is only for the hell yes. And the last thing that I want you to practice is going to be so amazing, but it's going to take a little bit of getting used to, and that is receiving. If you've been people pleasing and giving up your own happiness for others, you have been giving and giving and giving, and you don't even know how to receive. I want you to practice asking for help. Not only asking for help, but receiving it. People are going to start offering to help you. Can I do this for you? Believe me, I was the same as you if you don't know how to receive help. I am so headstrong. Everybody that's close to me in my life, especially the man in my life, he knows. He's like, you're so headstrong, and I have to pause. I want my main relationship to be reciprocal. So if I'm not agreeing to receive the help, the assistance, the whatever it is that he can give me, or my friends can give me, or family members can give me, I'm not contributing to changing this pattern. It's going to feel uncomfortable at first. I know, because you're going to feel guilty at first. But you know what? From now on, we're not agreeing to that guilt vibration as we're moving forward. We're agreeing to feeling appreciation and love. So when you start to receive these requests to help you, to give you things, passing things along to you, helping you with whatever project you're working on, learn to say yes, hell yes to them, even though it's uncomfortable, because it will be at first. And know in your mind, I'm not going to feel guilty. Say in your mind, I'm not going to feel guilty. I'm not going to feel ashamed for this. This doesn't mean I'm weaker or less than. This means that I am teaching the world how to love me. I'm also blessing this person by allowing them to give to me. And you're starting to create that reciprocal loop that you've been missing for all these years in your life. And therefore, as you start receiving and receiving and receiving, you're going to attract things like it that really end up being the ingredients of the life that you're so craving. And that's why you're here. And there's no mistake that you're getting this information today. Go and take those practices that I gave you, start implementing them today. I would love for you to leave in the comment section how they've actually helped your life improve, what's happened. I'd love to hear your feedback. make sure you go ahead and say hell yes to things that are hell yes and watch how your life magically improves. See you next time. So if you love videos like this on self-empowerment and you love talking about it and it makes you feel super good, I have a free masterclass that is a stepping stone to helping you learn more about how to build this self-love in your life and how to find more power. And it's totally free. I would love to have you there. Click the link below, jump into the masterclass. I'd love to have you in my tribe. See you there.